You know that feeling, right? When a friendship just leaves you feeling totally drained. Kind of like you're putting in all the work and getting very little back. Well, today we're going to talk all about that. We're going to give that feeling a name, break down what's really going on, and most importantly, figure out what you can actually do about it. Just think about it for a second. The last time you talked to that person or left to get together, did you feel energized and happy? Or did you feel just kind of wiped out, like you just gave a whole lot and didn't get much in return? If that feeling of being on a one-way street sounds way too familiar, then you are in exactly the right place. And let's be super clear here, we're talking about a pattern. This isn't about that one time your friend was swamped with work or that one time you picked up the tab. No, this is a consistent, ongoing dynamic where the scales are always tipped, and you're the one doing all the heavy lifting. Just putting a name to it, a one-sided friendship, that's the first real step to understanding what's happening. So how can you tell for sure if you're in one? I mean, the signs can be pretty subtle, right? They build up over time until you're just left with this nagging feeling that something's off. So let's get into it. Let's diagnose the imbalance by looking at three key areas. Okay, first up, let's talk about plain old effort. This is the practical, day-to-day stuff, the nuts and bolts of just keeping a connection going. A healthy friendship should feel like a good game of tennis, a nice, easy back and forth. But when it's one-sided, it feels more like you're just serving ball after ball into an empty court. It's exhausting. And you can see how these things stack up. Take a look at your phone. Are you always the one sending that first text, making the plans? And when you do talk, does it feel like you're just interviewing them about their life, their drama, their wins? And then, ouch, they forget about that big project you had at work, or even your birthday. Each one might seem small, but together, they paint a pretty clear picture of an imbalance. And this imbalance in effort, it almost always bleeds into something way deeper, a serious lack of emotional support. Friendships are supposed to be our safe harbor, right? A place where we can be vulnerable and feel cared for. But in a one-sided friendship, it's like that harbor only has one dock, and it's always reserved for their ship, not yours. Think about it. When you were going through a really tough time, were they there for you? Or did they suddenly get really quiet? And what about the good stuff? A true friend is supposed to be your biggest cheerleader. But if your amazing news just gets a click, oh, that's nice, before the conversation flips right back to them, that's a huge sign. And maybe the biggest red flag of all, you see their name pop up on your phone, and your first thought isn't, great. It's, uh-oh, I wonder what they need now. This all boils down to one simple, powerful word: reciprocity. It really is the heartbeat of a healthy friendship. It's not about keeping a running tally of who did what. It's that quiet, unspoken feeling that you're in this together, that you have each other's backs. And when that heartbeat gets faint, the whole friendship is in trouble. Which brings us to our final and maybe the most crucial set of signs: the toll this all takes on you. You can analyze text messages and calendars all day long, but the most honest indicator of a friendship's health is simply how it makes you feel. So it's time for a real gut check. After you hang out with them, do you feel filled up or totally drained? Lighter or heavier? Do you feel like you have to perform a little bit, like you edit your stories or downplay your successes to manage their reaction? If it feels like you're always on edge, that it's conditional, that's not a friendship. That's a job, and it's an exhausting one. Okay, let's just take a breath here. Seeing all these signs laid out like this can be pretty intense, I know. But this isn't about blaming anyone. It's about getting clarity. And once you have clarity, you arrive at a moment of choice. It's time for some really honest reflection about what you need and what this friendship can realistically give you. At the end of the day, you've really got two main paths forward. On one hand, you can try to nurture the friendship. This is for those relationships that have a real history, a solid foundation, but have just fallen out of balance. They might be worth saving. But on the other hand, for friendships that are just consistently draining and show no signs of changing, the kindest thing you can do for yourself might be to let go. And listen, neither path is a failure. Both are powerful acts of self-respect. So, if you've decided this friendship is valuable and worth fighting for, it's time to shift from just thinking to actually doing. The goal here isn't to start a big fight or a dramatic confrontation. It's to gently try and bring that missing heartbeat, that reciprocity, back into the relationship. So let's walk through a practical action plan. So here's our 4-step plan.
First, you've got to communicate, because staying silent is guaranteed to solve nothing. Second, you have to set and maintain boundaries to protect your own energy. Third, and this is an interesting one, match their level of effort, not to be petty, but just to see if they even notice the change. And finally, step 4, evaluate their response. How they react to these changes will tell you everything you need to know about the future of this friendship.
Let's just zoom in on that first step, because it's usually the scariest one, right? Communication. Instead of saying something accusatory like, you never ask about my life, try framing it from your perspective. Maybe something like, hey, I've been feeling a bit disconnected lately, and I'd really love to catch you up on what's been going on with me. See the difference? It's an invitation, not an attack. And it opens the door for a real conversation. And as you're going through this whole process, please remember this. Life is messy. Friendships are never going to be a perfect 50-50 split all the time. Sometimes you'll lean on them, sometimes they'll lean on you. The goal isn't this transactional tit-for-tat scorecard. The real goal is to feel that deep, foundational sense of mutual care, to just know that they've got your back the same way you've always had theirs. So, I'm going to leave you with this question to really think about. It's a personal one, and there's no right or wrong answer. But getting clear on what actually makes you feel seen, heard, and supported, that's the key to building friendships that truly fill you up instead of draining you dry. So take a moment and ask yourself, what does that mutual care, that true reciprocity really look like for you? Thanks for exploring this with me today.